In episode number 318 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, we cover Titans on the DC Universe app. We got to see the first episode and we have our thoughts.
We also have free Comic Book Day exclusive merch, which will be coming your way next year.
Our comic book review this week will be Justice League number 10, the kickoff to Drowned Earth.
All of this and so much more on today's show.
Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week in podcast award nominee style, covering comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I am Darth Vader.
And I am Emperor Sniffle Kelly.
I'm lucky. I felt the effects this morning, but as the day went off, no sniffles.
Well, as we know, we never get sick at the same time, which is
True.
Great for our life. But I fell asleep with my wet hair one time this week, and my old ass body is like, nah, girl, you done.
The way we format the show is first we go over some news. We head into the Brokehead block, which we cover what happened with Kelly and I this week. We head into our Patreon shoutouts, the Brokeheads that make the episode possible. And finally, we end it with a comic book review.
But our first bit of news is super exciting. It covers something we covered last week.
It is on the success of Venom. Good on Sony for kicking off their Venomverse. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Venom has become Sony's highest grossing movie ever in Russia.
Well, shit.
Now, I don't know how big this market is, but they can tout that shit like crazy. Just like we tout the podcast awards nominees.
Hell
they
yeah.
can tout this shit about Venom.
This is the highest grossing podcast in our house. So
Correct. That's true.
There you go. So Venom has earned approximately 24 million worth of Russian rubles. This places Venom just behind Avengers Infinity War, which took in the equivalent of around 32.7 million as the country's top grossing film this year.
So there you go. You have numbers. Even if you were to think, well, how big is the market in Russia? Compared to Infinity War, they came over halfway of what Infinity War brought in, and it is Sony and it is Venom and it is an unestablished format, and they still got 24 million rubles.
It's also just the beginning, right? So this is, the 32.7 million was over the lifetime of that movie being in theaters. We still have some more time potentially that Venom's going to be in theaters. It could surpass Infinity War.
And you think, well, they're going opening weekend, but I see what you're saying by initial theater run. But regardless, let's take a look at the rest of the world. It's like, yeah, but how did it do worldwide? Well, Venom led this past weekend as the number one film in the world for the second week in a row. Even the drop-off from week to week, because normally there's always a drop-off.
Of course.
But it was not as low as the analysts were saying. And even the opening weekend was way higher in this market
than they were expecting.
That even Sony was expecting. So they're immediately greenlighting Venom, even though they have them on contract for 2 and 3. They're like, let's up the budget on this shit. Let's make sure that the other symbiote that is showing up in the sequel looks good too. Not so much how we saw him in this one. And they have a kickoff, man. Like they're not pressured now to have to sell all of that over to Disney. And my brother, who comes into the comic shop every morning, he was saying that it could also be a move, that the other rumor is that Sony is driving up their price for Spider-Man's universe by saying, hey, Disney, I know you're paying us to borrow Spidey for a bit. If you ever want to outright buy it, though, the price has now gone up on all this because Venom did fucking incredible.
Right. That's amazing. I mean, good for Sony to be able to have that leverage. Like we said, we had our full review last week. If you guys want to hear what we thought of Venom in its entirety, it wasn't our favorite movie, but it did. I mean, it was a Venom movie, right? It did what we expected it to do. And I'm, overall, I'm happy to see it doing well in the box office around the world.
We've got a piece of DC Universe news as well, though. According to Variety, the solo Flash film, which is no longer being referred to as Flashpoint, has been pushed back to 2021. So the changes really continue in the DCEU.
Is this the Kingdom Hearts of DC movies right now? We're just going to push it back forever? So this was originally set to release in 2020. The delay has been attributed to script rewrites and Ezra Miller's role in the third Fantastic Beasts film, which starts filming next summer.
And those movies, the first Fantastic Beasts, did do really well in the box office. It didn't do, obviously it's not going to do like the Harry Potter end tail of movies, but enough to where they're like, yeah, let's do fucking 3-4 of these fucking things. Even without Harry Potter, they continue that world and they continue that franchise. I still sell those decals and the stickers and the Funko Pops for Harry Potter because Warner Brothers is keeping that brand alive. It's keeping it somewhat fresh too by making all of this a prequel and not really having returning cast members. And yeah, we're getting recasts on Dumbledore, but it's a much younger Dumbledore. Right. So this is how you...
gayer Dumbledore.
About the same. Like, it's much like the rest of the kids that were reading and watching the movies. I was like, really? But it's like, how do you expect them to be like, hello? You're like that stereotype.
That would be perfect. Oh, Gryffindor.
And that's why most people were like, is he really though? And that was,
all the
2000s.
Points to you guys.
He cheated so much in that first movie.
Did.
And Gryffindor, 2 million points for bravery. What the fuck does that mean, Dumbledore? What are you basing this on?
Dumbledore's pretty much an asshole. He's like the worst.
Well, he made poor Snape go through all those years of suffering. At the same time, though, Snape chose to do this because he was in love with a dead lady.
But he was still an asshole. And, he put Harry through a lot of shit that he didn't need to put him through.
And that's something that in the books, too, and even in the movies, you see it explored a little bit, where Snape does tell him, you're doing this to the boy, you're putting him through all this. Right. And that's when Dumbledore was like, since when do you care about him? And that's when Dumbledore realizes, wait, after all these years still? And Snape says... always. The best line. One of the best lines.
So Dumbledore was pretty much shaming him for still loving Lily.
He was more surprised, like, seriously? And Snape's like, yeah, this is fucking true love. Is that not?
It's so true love. Lily should have chosen Snape. I don't know what's wrong with her.
He called her a mudblood.
Okay, so he was a fucking, teenage boy. Teenage boys are stupid.
And then she moved on to James.
There needs to be a what if Lily wasn't stupid and chose Snape over fucking beach ant James Potter.
Some faceless bitch. Faceless beach ant.
Faceless bitch. Except he wasn't. He was just an asshole. See, little boys are assholes.
He was like the Draco of that era.
Yeah.
Which is really weird.
Draco's an asshole. We all know it. But girls are in love with him. I don't get it.
Who, Draco?
Yeah.
I still like that in the premieres, the grown women that would swoon and shriek over the young kids, like Draco and all the rest of the boys. It's like, yeah, flip this around. Let's have grown men doing that with Hermione and the rest.
No, that's not okay.
No, that's not okay.
That's not
okay. James Gunn would be there though.
Yeah,
Harry. Only during the first movie though, and that's even pushing it.
Of course.
According to his tweets, I'm not even making shit up, guys. This is all just according to him. His thumbs. As The Flash.
Yes, The Flash will be directed by John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein, the writers of Spider-Man Homecoming.
A little bit worried about that. If they can take the bits, the good writing that was the Vulture, and apply that to a whole movie of The Flash, or even the villain, that whoever they choose to go with in The Flash, then I'll be a little more settled.
We'll see. I didn't dislike Spider-Man Homecoming, so... we'll see.
It was just the least Spider-Man movie out of all of the live-action ones. It's very different. It's Miles Morales, but whitewashed.
It was better than Tobey Maguire.
I wouldn't go that far. The first two movies...
oh, my Spider-Man life. I have these powers, but I hate my life.
Yeah, you're right. Instead, he should have a Iron Man suit that does all the work for him, so it's not really Spider-Man.
Yeah, sure.
He should have Genki as his best friend, as opposed to Harry or the rest of his classic characters. It's not Peter Parker. It's not a Peter Parker movie. It's not a Peter story. Well, it's Peter Morales. It is Miles Parker.
Still better than Tobey Maguire. I hated Tobey Maguire. The only good part of that movie was the upside down kiss, which was ruined for me because Toby had to be like, I was drowning.
By the way, James Franco was incredible in all those. We play the Spider-Man 3 movie every now and again. He's one of those bright spots, especially when she brings the pie, eats it, and after he tells him, Peter, I kissed MJ, and he runs off mad. How was the pie? So good. And he smiles and he winks at Peter. And then the bus drives by. And Peter looks and he's gone. What's even funnier about the scene though is as soon as like he supposedly disappears, which is silly on its own, but it's Spider-Man 3, right? But Franco saved that scene. Is if you look in the background, there's a guy that immediately turns around as if he noticed too. Like, where'd that guy go? I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it's something that you always notice when you watch it.
I love when there's background characters who like do shit so that they're in the movie forever. Like, did you ever hear about that one movie where the guy just like drops his pants?
No.
And it's still in the movie? It's like an older movie, right? But I saw the clip of it and it's like a high school movie. So there's kids in the bleachers and this guy like just dropped like dingle bits and everything, just drops it. And it's in the movie. They missed it.
No, I've got to track that down. That's pretty funny. So we'll see what happens with Flash. Like, I know a lot of the MCU sheep are saying just do Flashpoint, just restart it. And obviously they're not going to do that. They're not going to throw away the well-received Wonder Woman already, or the rest of the franchises that did make them money aside from Justice League. And now there's pretty good buzz on Aquaman as well, and Shazam. So no, they're not going to reboot all of that. There's no point to that.
They could still do Flashpoint though, and just don't let it end in a reboot, right? You see this crazy ass world and you're like, oh my gosh, this sucks. And then he goes back and he fixes it.
Well, what's funny too, and a lot of the DCEU fans, the belugas, have been pointing out is that you guys clearly have not read Flashpoint. If you think that the DC universe is dark now, read Flashpoint.
Right.
That's the movie you're fucking asking for.
Right. Flashpoint's great. I enjoy it.
Oh yeah, it's great. But they don't know that. They haven't read it. They don't know what the fuck they're asking for. They think it's just a reboot.
They've just heard that Flashpoint is good, and they said, yeah, go ahead, because it's good, and nothing you do is good.
And do Blackest Night also. It's like, no. Knock it off. WB needs to stop listening to the Marvel sheep, do their thing, let these guys have their vision, have the DC Beluga, please the DC Belugas, and go from there. Stop doubting yourself.
We come up with so many things. I'm proud of us.
Anyone whose first episode is like, hold, what the fuck is happening? What's a bee chant? I'm still on that.
These are all wonderful things. You should know about them. We need to have a dictionary for our show.
That can be a Kickstarter project, maybe a Patreon thing, like a nice leather-bound, really nice 2-page dictionary.
There would only be like 4 words in there.
Probably.
Maybe 5. We could come up with 5 words.
Over time, there'll be more. We also have some Titans news that is kind of like, it lit up the internet for a bit when Titans premiered this past week.
Yeah, you even pointed this out. You were pretty pissed off about it. Comic book writer Jerry Conway, who does Justice League of America and Thor, took to Twitter last weekend to call out DC Entertainment for not giving credit to Titans creators Marv Wolfman, George Perez, Jerry Robinson, Arnold Drake, and Bob Brown in the credits of the show.
Jerry Conway put out a tweet that said, quote, "Fucking disgusting that DC Comics did not give screen credit to Marv Wolfman and Perez for creating half the characters in Titans, only, quote, based on characters from DC, end quote, as if DC had created them. Yet lots of space for 6 executive producer credits," end quote, to the tweet. The truth, really.
The truth. So, looking at both sides of the coin, yes, they absolutely should have credited them, right? Like, that's the right thing to do. But I'm sure there was somebody sitting there who went, okay, so the people who are getting DC Universe know all the shit about DC, so they already know the people who made this, so we can just put DC Comics characters. I know that that was somebody's thought process, and that's why it didn't happen.
I don't think so. I think there are payments that need to be made if they have that kind of screen credit on the episode. I could be wrong, but that could be it. And I'm sure every time there's a screen credit for Jerry Siegel and we got Bob Finger as well. Like all of that. Bill Finger. Should all of that equals a payment to the families. So it might be the case with Titans. And if even if it is, they should get screen credit. They should get payments.
They created the characters.
This is something that it's like we've gone through this path so many times over the years, man. It's like people are going to notice. They are going to rally behind this message, and they are going to rally to get people credits that they deserve.
We haven't seen the second episode yet, so not sure if this has been corrected, but I'm sure if we continue to watch at some point during the season, yes, their credits will be up there.
in the original Teen Titans cartoon, or even in Teen Titans Go, do they have, I know in the movie they credited all of the artists and creators. So did they do that for the original shows? Do you happen to remember?
I don't
seeing
remember.
Wolfman or...
I was like 15. Did I care about like...
When I was a kid, I kept seeing Deanie on there and remembered those. Like, those were always the good episodes.
Okay, I'm glad that you were a better kid than I was. Like, I just watched and said, oh, Robin and Starfire didn't kiss? Psh, worthless.
Might happen in Titans. It was in that one trailer.
I'm pretty sure they were making out in that one trailer. Of course they're going to kiss.
Something that comic shops throughout the country are going to kiss because of the profit that will be made. Funko has announced the latest comic shop exclusive pop with the Batman Who Laughs straight out of Dark Knight's Metal.
Oh, you read his name wrong.
What's the name?
It's the Batman Who Cares.
It's a cool design.
It's
I'm going to sell the shit out of this fucking
I don't
pop.
like spooky things. We already talked about La Llorona, whatever her name is, that I don't like. I don't like scary things. This guy is scary. I don't want him in my house.
This is one of the best exclusives that Funko has done for comic book shops. It is set to release either December to January of this and next year, and it looks exactly like it came out of the pages of Dark Knight's Metal.
Yeah, like spooky.
This is a pop that will help out comic shops, that people will seek out. The one thing I debated for half a second of will this hype for this pop be at the biggest one I've seen in all the years I've worked has been Dancing Groot, the little leaf one. And I said, maybe this will be as big as that. But then I thought, well, no, this is only going to appeal to the comic readers, whereas, you know, Dancing Groot appealed to, there was moms and grandmas and dads and kids and all. They're not going to be buying no Batman Who
Grandmas
Laughs.
came in and they're like, I need that.
Do you have the Batman Who Laughs?
The laughing Batman. That's what they'll call it. The laughing Batman.
Explain to the Brokettes who the Batman Who Laughs is if they have not read Dark Knight's Metal.
He is a Batman and Joker mix from another universe who looks spooky as hell.
Essentially Bruce Wayne affected by the Joker gas.
Right.
Which turns him into a more dangerous Batman and the more dangerous Joker. That's one thing we were debating while reading it, and I think Scott Snyder did a really nice job in melding the characters together where you really think, okay, this isn't just the Joker and Batman gear, and this is not just Batman and Joker makeup. Like, there are things that he does in the story that are well-placed plans and also meticulous. And he even takes on both Batman and the Joker at one point, ends up losing. But there's a lot in there that really is difficult to do as a writer, to make him sound like Batman, or rather make him feel like Batman and the Joker.
He's scary as hell. I don't like him. You're going to bring him into your house and he's going to get possessed in the middle of the night and come and hunt you down.
One of the emails when we were seeing, like, okay, how many should we order for the shop? Like, the owner said, 1 billion? Like, can we order 1 billion? It's a forever seller. It truly is.
It is, yes. I can see why people like him. I can see why you like him. He's not for me. Dark Knight's Metal wasn't for me. We talked about that for a while. But he is an interesting concept. He's a cool character. I think it's smart of Funko to make this. And good on Funko because they continue to make things and the hype is still there for all these billions of things that they've made. Much
longer than I expected. Yeah. The bubble has not burst yet on the fun. It will, but it has not yet. They're letting it go. And this, again, good on them for making this a comic shop exclusive. That especially makes me happy. But there's even more that is coming next year that is exclusive to your local comic book shop. And this comes from Diamond Distributors.
They revealed next year's Free Comic Book Day exclusive merch, which includes a John Constantine comic shop exclusive Funko Pop and a Symbiote Spider-Man PVC statue.
As you pointed out, it does not look to be TV show Constantine.
Nope, don't want it.
If they had done that, do you think that would have been smarter if they rebranded it and kind of made it a little bit different, or do you think it'll sell the same?
Only if it said TV show Constantine. No, it's going to sell the same because he kind of does look like TV show Constantine, and people aren't going to... So what am I talking about? Nobody watched TV show Constantine, which is why it got canceled.
No, it got good ratings, but what was the issue on it? I got to rewind the show to like 3 years ago. I could be confusing it with another DC. I might be confusing it with
Lucifer.
Supergirl or Lucifer. Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm confusing it
Uh-huh.
with. So Constantine, it was about the Blu-ray sales, and then eventually CW ended up putting him in Legends of Tomorrow, which I now have to watch.
Nope.
Because we got to watch those.
I don't like Legends of Tomorrow.
We can fast forward
even
through
with Constantine.
He might be. So you don't think Constantine is good enough? You don't think Matt Ryan can carry the whole season by himself? Interesting.
We'll try an episode, and if I don't like it, then I'll stop there.
The symbiote PVC statue has him it looks like in between two buildings with the web and he's standing on those. I don't know how that's going to display on a shelf. It'll be interesting to see how they end up doing it. But the fact that it is the black suit Spidey, still iconic, still sellable, still he looks cool. So that, he's going to be something that people will look for.
Right.
And the fact that it's a free comic book day exclusive, it is much better than last year's, this year's. I know we had the Saga Pop that had the Lion Cat as a bloody version, and then we were excited, we were happy. I still have copies of that because it is from Image Comics. It's a well-selling comic, but it's not something that a casual Funko buyer will buy. I sold one specifically to a collector who said, so this you could only get at comic shops, and I said yes. And you could only get it on free comic book day, and I said yes, unless we have extras left over afterward. Is this bound to go up in price? And that's when I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know. Well, he got one anyway, and that was really the only person, the non-Saga fan, that I sold it to.
Another pop that's coming out that's exclusive to Walt Disney World is Red the Pirate, me as a pirate in a Funko Pop.
Finally, your Funko Pop is releasing. Dad, you know why? I know the Aquaman came out for me a while ago, but they have to make sure that yours was just right.
It had to be perfect.
Because you don't want to piss off the Kelli.
Hell no.
I'm just happy that it's somewhat hey, that kind of looks like me. That's great.
If they messed up my Funko Pop, I would have burned all the Funko Pop. Even the ones sitting in people's houses would have just caught on fire. Boom, gone.
So says the Kelli.
So says the Kelli.
But this you're happy with.
I am. It's really fucking cool.
Explain, so what's the redhead? How's she different now in the Pirates ride? And who is the redhead? A lot of people haven't been to Disney. A lot of brokettes.
So the redhead is me as a pirate. Her origins is she used to be being sold to the highest bidder, a man. She was a winch. And you ride through the ride, and he's trying to sell off some other lady, and all the guys are like, we want the redhead, and she's showing her cleavage and shaking her leg. Yeah. And so that was a big part of the ride, is the we want the redhead. There's t-shirts and merchandise and all this kind of stuff. So for me, being a natural redhead, I'm like, oh yeah, fuck, everybody wants me. Woo. I'm so cool. So it's 2018. We've realized that selling women is not appropriate.
But they're pirates. That's the whole point.
It's not appropriate, Daniel. So now she is a pirate standing there selling people's things, like paintings and stuff.
And now there's men and women chained up with their property that they are also selling. So it's, I guess, also something pirates would do. But
I guess.
How many female pirates were there? I mean, I know Anne Bonny was one, but
there were a few. So anyway, that's what it is now. And they made a Funko Pop of her as pirate. It's pretty cool. And I want it.
And that's going to be a Disney Parks exclusive. So
yes.
Best of luck.
It's only going to be in the Pirates of the Caribbean shop on October 27th or something. I don't even know. They'll all be gone. Apparently there was a Jack Sparrow Pop exclusive.
I believe it.
It's gone.
And the Haunted Mansion ones, which Bobby was telling us about. And a lot of really neat ones. Yeah. One bit of comic book news that did show up this week is that next year in July, Marvel's First Day of Groot, which is the sequel to Night Night Groot, will be hitting comic book shops, and I am so happy about that. The Night Night Groot sells all the time.
Yeah? What is it? You're saying goodnight to Groot?
So basically it's a bedtime story for kids, but it's on this big board type of hardcover, and then it's got the dancing Groot, I guess it's Baby Groot, on the little pod, and then Rocky Raccoon is chasing him throughout, and I don't know if he might be running away from James Gunn. Maybe that's the sequel. But in this case, he's putting him to bed, and it sells all the time.
Baby Groot says no.
There you go. Fuck yes, that's a kid's book right there. They need to do that. That's the third one.
So the solicitation reads, quote, just like the rest of us, Groot's learning that there is a first time and a first day for everything. Follow Rocket and Groot as they set off across the galaxy, learning new lessons, developing new skills, and making new memories with friends along the way. End quote.
And if it's anything like the format of the first one, I will also sell tons of this.
This could very easily contain James Gunn as well. There's a first time for everything, Groot.
Oh, God. Well, that's him saying that, and Groot has to run away.
Right, and he has to run away. Let me tell you, though, these kids' books are so much fun. Like, not specifically the Groot one, but we have one, Bedtime for Batman or something like that, which is a kid pretty much mimicking what Batman does as he gets ready for bed, right? And then there's a Good Morning Superman, because Superman's in the daytime and Batman's in the nighttime.
Sure.
But I love when they incorporate kids' stories into superheroes, because it's like we're indoctrinating our kids early.
Hopefully it works. That's the thing that people will say, that whenever they try to get their kids into a specific franchise, like you hear a lot with Star Wars, is that it does not work because they naturally want to fight against that because they want to find their own thing. And eventually they attach themselves to something they see on TV or a toy or whatever, and then they explore it. So they say that if you really want to indoctrinate your kid, is you let them discover it, you know, quote unquote, naturally. Yeah. So it's like, I might leave a, oh, look, let's see, what is this? Batman, the animated series? I want to give it a shot. Yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's watch that. And then like pretend as if, oh, interesting.
Except he's going to see it tattooed on your arm.
I'll be like, what a coincidence.
He's already very judgmental about my tattoos, so I'm sure if he saw yours, he would be too.
Yeah, might be. It was a bit of a light news week, but our exploration, our talk about Titans, I think is going to be kind of like our review this week with the comic book as well. So maybe we should leave this to the end, because we are going to, I mean, they're not huge spoilers, though. That's my thing, is it's not like, and then Batfleck shows up suddenly in episode 1.
Well, no, but I mean, we can leave it for the end in case anybody's like us and it just takes them a little bit of time to get into the app or get the episodes.
Yeah, but I do want to talk about the plot and some of the special effects, too, with the show, because there's a lot to digest here. They really went all out on this.
Agreed. It's up to you. We can do it now. We can leave it till the end.
It's episode 1. There's really not much to spoil, so let's do it. It's not like you have Jason Todd yet showing up. We saw him in the trailers.
I thought you were going to say, you sound like you have James Gunn showing up. Like, whoa!
He's one of the guys hopefully Robin beats up in that alleyway. So with Titans, episode 1, obviously we got the DC Universe app within a few hours of when they announced, like, hey, you can get your email signed right in. And then when they actually took payment, obviously we went all in on it. It did take us a while to watch Titans episode 1, but we got around to it. And did talk a little bit to some brokettes on Twitter on whether or not we should discuss it. And OmniJam himself, who's been on Suicide Squadcast, which is a DC podcast that I listen to, they go way deeper into the DCEU. And he said, I mean, you guys kind of have to talk about Titans episode 1, right? So why not go into the spoilers? And we did not live tweet it, so here's where we are going to talk about this first exclusive to DC Universe.
My initial thought with the first episode is it's nothing like the original Teen Titans show, obviously. There's major differences. So if you're going into it expecting it to be like the Teen Titans show, no.
And many people did. And lo and behold, they did not like it. I wonder why.
Look at that. It's not Teen Titans Go. It's not the original Teen Titans. It's definitely a much edgier show. And initially I was concerned that it would be more geared towards like teenagers who really want that edginess, and they're dark and they're brooding, and there is a lot of that, but I feel like it's still a very adult show as well.
Yes. And it's not what people thought with that first commercial of Richard Grayson is killing all of these guys. Even one of my coworkers was saying that the producer said, yeah, we did that purposefully so that people would talk about it.
Right.
And when you watch the show, no, he does not kill anyone.
No. He does beat up people, maybe a bit more harsher than Batman would even, you think?
Maybe.
I mean, he like cuts that guy's face on that door, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, on the broken glass, like right on the edge. Like Batman would have just knocked his fucking ass out.
Right.
Or broken his arm if he was interrogating him. Just like in Dark Knight Returns, where I think it was Dark Knight Returns, and one of them he says, on cold nights, you're going to feel this.
Forever, yes.
Forever.
So I thought he was a little more brutal than Batman would be. One of the biggest changes I noticed is Robin and Starfire are both adults. They're not teens at all, in any sense of the word.
Correct. And that gives you a hint on the pairing that they're going to be when you see this. they set this up perfectly because Raven ends up being the audience. She seems to be the hook to all of us because she's getting these visions of Richard Grayson, the Flying Graysons, what happened to him. And then that's when it opens up into Robin, who is going after, in particular, child molesters, child violators, that then connects him to Raven because when she seeks him out, someone is going after her. She gets kidnapped. And now Robin has a hook to, I need to save her, not only because I just met her, it seems like she knew something about me, even though I hadn't said anything, but I also hate those kind of fucking scumbags.
Right.
So that's where that connection, that's where that was written really well. And then when you have Starfire, who seems to have lost her memory, once again, that's for the audience. That's for us to say, anyone that's not familiar with who Starfire may be, let's find out together. There are many open-ended questions on episode 1.
They took a really interesting turn with Starfire, and we'll go back when they first cast her. I was like, her skin's not even orange, like how is this going to work out? I really liked this casting. Like I really liked the design that they did with the actress. I still think it fits, especially in this world that they've put together, right? It didn't feel out of place, but it's a different, in all the Starfire iterations that I've seen, in most of them, she's an alien that crashes into Earth. Robin finds her. They kiss so that she learns the language, and that's kind of where their story takes off, right? Here, it seems she's already very well established in Earth. Maybe she's working for someone as a private investigator, or she's doing something. It seems like she's seeking out the same kind of people that Robin's trying to stop, right? Russian mafia, something like that. So she's already very well established here in Earth, and doesn't really seem like she needs Robin like she has in a lot of other ways that we've seen her.
Correct. And so that's her thing, was she was then seeking out Raven as well. By the end of the episode is where they set that. So that's where they're going to cross paths with the other Titans. And then it's like, okay, well, good for them. But we had Hawk and Dove and we had the other ones. It's like, no, this is episode 1. They're not jamming and giving you every single thing.
Thankfully.
As I was watching this, I noticed, and I don't remember if I told you, but it's like they're really taking their time on not only the slow burn of let's set up these characters, let's see what their lives are like. We have many more episodes still, plus season 2, to get this story told. This is not a CW show in storytelling or in special effects. This is a step above. This is almost a pseudo, like it's even higher than a made-for-TV movie, I would say, in that they can take their time. The budget is much higher than you got on TV. When you see the special effects for Starfire especially, it looks amazing. The directing, the cinematography really, again, takes its time and shows you the sets, the special effects, the actors, the costumes, all of that is in there for us that do like to take their time and really enjoy what they have set up in the world of Titans. It's not treating this as like, okay, this is going to be for the mass audience. It's like, no, you bought the DC Universe app. You're here to watch this. We know who we're catering to. And thankfully, they did that right, and they kept that in mind as they were making Titans.
I agree 100%. It was almost a surprising treat to be able to watch this first episode and really feel, it feels extremely heavy, and that they're really focusing on character development, which is exactly what we want, right? So that was perfect. It was the right move on them, because I don't think if they had gone this direction that they would have had as many people continuing on to episode 2 and so on and so forth. They did do a great thing at the end of this episode, though. Like you said, we really focused on Robin, Raven, and Starfire in this first one, but then at the very end, you got the little taste of Beast Boy there, so you kind of get to see, okay, in the next episode, they're going to introduce this and move on from there.
I was wrong, and they might still do it, but I still wanted him to like go behind the pillar, and then like the human walks out, like just to save on the special effects of him transforming. Right. They did that in Animorphs all the time, and I want that to happen in Titans.
How he transformed was really interesting to me too, and maybe this is because he hasn't really had an opportunity to hone his powers, right? But it took him a long ass time to transform, and it looked like a fucking painful process from him to go a tiger. I don't know why I picked a tiger of all things, but to move from a tiger into a man again, and his clothes didn't go with it like you would expect.
Yeah, some of that you kind of have to let go. Like, yeah, it's still a comic book TV show, and it's fine. It is an excellent first step for their original programming. I really couldn't wait. I really wanted to see episode 2 today before we recorded, but it's something that we're going to have to watch at some point this weekend.
Right.
And really enjoy, because Hawk and Dove are in this. One last thing that people were speculating on with Dick Grayson, because they still haven't answered the question of why is he operating separate from Batman. And I've heard this on other podcasts and saying that the whole point of him really focusing on these child abusers is that, like, maybe that's one thing that he had a disagreement with on Batman. But I view it as not necessarily on him and Batman, but we know Jason Todd is in this. And when we see Jason, I'm assuming it's going to be through flashbacks. But because Jason probably has that scene where he does die or gets killed by whoever they set up, maybe it's the Joker off screen, that because of that, that's what made him leave. And now he's operating on his own, and he's going after these people like Jason, like the people, whoever killed Jason Todd, and that's his target.
Right. We do have Robin's new partner in this from the police force, whatever. It'll be interesting to see what direction they take her in also, because obviously they put her in here and they set her up for a reason. We get to see her, oh, what happened with your old partner? Like, that bullshit. Right. Right. But I think that she's going to be more than just a minor character for something, in this first season.
And it seems like so far, maybe Beast Boys we've seen, but we know Robin's costume, at least until he turns into Nightwing, presumably by the end of season 1, that costume is the finalized look for Robin. But for the rest of the characters, one, Starfire's regaining her memories. Raven is just discovering her powers.
Right.
We're going to see their development and their look evolve throughout the show.
They did, I feel, keep the looks pretty close to what we've seen previously. Raven still has the blue hair, right? I don't know if you noticed she has that necklace on, which was the same red circle as her belt. So they kind of have those little nods in there. Starfire with the crazy red hair, which fits really well with, the other design. And of course, Beast Boy is all green.
Even when, I especially liked when she is using her powers and then the hair lights up and you see the green eyes, and it's like, this is fucking it right here. Like, even if this is all, like, done. We don't need anything else. Like, I don't know why people need it to look exactly like.
And then she was in the purple dress, so there you go.
There's your fucking purple. Like, leave it a fucking alone. Why do you want the exact same fucking thing? I get having familiarity, which you have this in it, but it's similar enough to where it's like, all right, this is something new, but they are true to a lot of these characters. Robin was not killing these guys like the commercial tried to make you feel, and apparently he curses a little bit.
I will say, fuck Batman. I will say Robin was not as attractive as I wanted him to be.
Is he though? Did we get a look at the butt?
I mean, I did not. He's got like a little bit of abs, but he still was very baby face. He reminded me a lot of Flash.
I can see that.
But he's still very baby face. Very skinny. I see him and I'm like, Starfire could beat the shit out of you. Like,
well, yeah.
How are you two gonna end up together?
Raven, maybe.
What? Robin and Raven? No.
No. I said Raven could beat up Robin. Probably.
Yeah, Raven probably could.
No, it's awesome. If you are hesitant on the DC Universe app, came to find out that you can get a trial. I think it's a 7-day trial. Oh. Check out the first episode and the second one now that they're out. And you can kind of see for yourself. A lot of people I know are waiting until we get more shows. That way they can just binge through much more original content. But if you really can't wait, honestly, this first episode is telling me that the original programming so far is worth the service.
These are releasing weekly, is what they said, through the first season. And then we'll see how many episodes and what goes on with the second.
Yeah, maybe sometime late next year or the year after we'll get season 2. I'm guessing next year.
Hopefully, if it does as well. I'd be interested to see what the reception was for the first episode, like how many viewers actually turned in.
You know how else they were smart? I don't know if you saw the full schedule, but they ended up splitting Young Justice. So that we get some of the season, and then we get Swamp Thing and the others, and then we get the rest of that first season.
So that
geniuses.
So that we stay.
So that they know who
of
the fucking.
Of course they do.
They're smart. That's how you fucking do it.
Yep. It.
That's the Kingdom of Hearts method.
And then they're going to re-release Young Justice with all the episodes.
With the full animation
the story
budget.
so far.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed the pseudo review, I guess, of Titans with just episode 1, and I think we'll talk about it as we continue watching each of the rest of the season.
But like you said, this was a light news week, so with all that out of the way, we can move into our Brocat block where you get to hear a little bit more about our week.
You had apparently a late assignment that you somehow nailed.
School. So for Brocats who don't know, I decided to go back to college because I am dumb. I have a 1-year-old. I work 50 hours a week. And I'm taking college courses. Again, stupid. So this course, and college, I'm not good at it. I'm not good at school. I've learned this about myself. I'm doing this because eventually I want to do something and they like to see that piece of paper that says I have a 4-year degree. Whether it pertains to what I want to do or not, there's jobs I'm never going to get because I don't have my degree. So that's the only reason that I'm going back and trying to finish this, right? So this class is particularly difficult because usually I take it all online. I sign in, I finish my assignment. It takes me maybe an hour and I sign out. So I just sign in on the day it's due. So 2 things happened this past week. One, I had an assignment that I turned in late, which is immediately 20 points off of it, right? I'm immediately at an 80%.
What percentage is? Okay, gotcha.
I'm immediately at an 80% because I turned it in late. And then I had another assignment, which was a 5-page paper due by 3 a.m. that I worked until midnight that night, right? So that gives me 3 hours to write a 5-page paper that I didn't look at prior to, or otherwise I could turn it in late and again take an 80%. So, and it always takes, I really don't believe that online professors read your assignments. It can't happen. You got 30 kids in a class. There's no way you're reading 35-page papers.
In a class. I'm sure they have multiple classes.
Right, exactly. They don't read this shit. Anyway, it always takes a week to get my stuff back. So we'll start, I did that assignment late, turned it in, fine, go on. And then I start with my 5-page paper, bust that shit out in an hour. They want APA resources. I'm pulling bullshit from everywhere. And it was easy-ish to write because the premise was I've just become a general manager for a Dunkin' Donuts. I need to talk about my training, how I'm going to onboard people, my business design, all that kind of stuff. Well, I've worked in food and beverage for my entire working career. The last 12 years has been spent in essentially a Dunkin' Donuts, but not really Dunkin' Donuts. So I was like, well, shit, this is what I would do. And my fucking resources was experience, damn it. But like, I didn't put that. I found some other bullshit.
I've done all of this.
That's what I really want to put. Because again, my professor doesn't read it, right? So I type out this 5-page paper, read over it once. Like, I don't even really check. I put some graphics in there.
I don't think you're supposed to do that. But.
To fill up the 5 pages, right? And I send this shit in there, done. I checked back a week later, and my grade went from an 88 to a 96. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? So I pull up that assignment 100% on my 5-page paper. 15 out of 15. And I'm like, let's read the comments, because professors always leave comments. And they're like, this was a very well thought out paper. I could tell that you put a lot of time and research into this.
I've gotten so many of those.
And I was like, yeah, an hour and 12 years of experience.
Isn't that crazy? Right? Like, you feel like you got away with something.
Right, I really do. And I was like, oh. So I did that. But, I still had that assignment that I turned in late. And then I have a message from the professor, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And I read it. And it's from that fucking day. The internet was down for the whole campus. So he's like, just turn it in within 48 hours and I'll count it for regular grade. And I was like, well, shit. So I also got 100 on that assignment.
You pulled a homer.
It just all worked out in my favor. So now I have another 6-page paper coming up.
They could have known who you were. Like, oh, it's the Palpa Kelli.
Oh,
like,
man. Oh, better give her 100 on this shit. So it just worked out very well. It still did not encourage me to start my work any earlier.
Great. Yeah, we have very different
we do
school methods.
Again, I tell you, school is not for me. I'm not good at it.
Neither, I guess, I don't know. Like, I stopped going, but I turned in all the assignments early. I interacted with the fucking students.
You enjoyed it when you went.
Well, the thing is, everyone else is so shitty at it that you really don't have to try all that hard. And if you do, you look that much better.
Yeah, I don't try.
See what I mean? So
I just heard it. But here's my thing about school. And again, the only reason I'm going is because people need to see that piece of paper, right? But there's so many positions right now that I could apply for that I would be fucking amazing at, because again, I have 12 years of experience, and not just front of the line. I know the financials, I know, labor statistics, I know all this kind of stuff, but they're not going to hire me because I don't have a college education. But what am I really learning in this college education? I'm learning how to type a paper about what I already do. I didn't research anything.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about the school system, and it's something that I know is changing and constantly evolving. I went through several classes on the history of education because I was going to be a teacher at some point, and I am confident that it is going, hopefully, in the right direction. Of maybe several generations from now, we will have really truly learned the learning methods of humans and what is more effective than sitting at a desk watching a whiteboard. And it doesn't always work that way. And unfortunately, a lot of teachers don't have the tools now to truly take advantage of what they see that works. But the good teachers that I've had over the years have been the ones that do make it more. I know it seems like such a simple thing to say, but they would make it extremely interesting by inputting jokes, by inputting the interaction with the students, by walking down the aisles of each student's thing and truly interacting with the kids. And it's something that's hard to do because, again, you are limited to it and you have to be good at it. So it takes years of experience.
Right.
But I'm hoping that we will get there eventually.
I would love to see us get there. I think there's a lot of things wrong with our school system. And one of the things, a class I took recently that I really enjoyed, is they taught you the different learning styles, right? So there's 4 different learning styles. So how do you incorporate that into a classroom when you have 20 kids and each 5 of them have a different learning style, right? You have to do so many different things to get the information to stick. But at the same time, the way we test is broken. The way we do homework is broken. The way we judge if this information is actually sticking when we don't even teach it to them the correct way. I am not the type of person where I can sit down and read a book and that information sticks. It just doesn't with me. I read it and then I take the quiz and it's gone. Even now, my quizzes, there's no time limit, right? So I don't read the chapter. I pull up the quiz, it asks me the question, and I search for it in the chapter. And yeah, I can learn it through there and say, oh yeah, that makes sense that, this is what it is, but I can't read it and have it stick. But that's what our school system is. That's what they expect us to do.
One decent thing, and I think this is the final thing on Education 101 podcast with Daniel and Kelly, is that it is also one advantage you have in that you're going to college is that you get to pick some of these classes eventually as you move forward that do interest you. Right. So I noticed when I was taking the film classes, it's like, yes, this is interesting to me. So everything I was reading was sticking because it was of my interest. You enjoyed it. Right. But while you're in junior high, elementary, high school, all of those years, it is even the beginning of college, they are classes that you're not going to be interested in. The math classes that I had to take, do not like math. So none of that stuck with me. The formulas, I can't memorize that stuff. So at least hopefully as you continue to do this, you'll get to those classes that will benefit you.
Is there a coffee 101 class? Because I am all about that shit. Kelly, it's $3,000. That's fine. Mail me all the coffee I got to drink.
Maybe eventually.
That would be fantastic. I would love to be a Q grader for coffee. That's on my list.
There you go. The one thing that did happen for me this week is I used to play Black Ops. I think even on the podcast we talked about it many years ago, and it was a lot of fun. But I did take a pretty long break from the game, and eventually one of our old squad mates, who has yet to play with us, by the way, sent me a picture and tagged me and Sean and said, "Hey, I think it's time to get the crew back together." And it's a picture of the Black Ops 4 video game on the PlayStation 4. And obviously, it's like every time that I'm out, they pull me back in. And they got me with this. I'm like, all right, Scott, if you're serious, let's do this. And
Scott showed up and he was like, Daniel, you son of a bitch. Dun, 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 dun.
And I texted Sean and I was like, are you getting Black Ops 4? And he said, yeah, man. So it's like, all right, let's do this. I got Black Ops 4. I got the year of PlayStation Plus because I had let that run out after my Target $15 sale thing.
You had that shit for like 10 years.
Yeah. And it's like, all right, let's do this and jump right in. And Sean has played in both sessions that I've gone on, which are up on YouTube. And I was like, you know what? Why not stream them if I'm already playing? More content, not great content, but it's content.
Right.
And I found that either I'm not as good as I used to be, or it's just the beginning and I'm getting back in.
Right.
I'm sure the reflexes aren't as good as when I played 3-4 years ago. And that probably goes with the rest of the older squad mates. I don't know how good Scott is right now. Sean is still really decent, but he has not quite reached that level that we used to. But a lot of that is on us, too. We need to support the rest of the team.
Right. A lot of that is you used to play for hours, too. Like, every night, 3-4 hours, you would take time and play this game. And you also weren't exhausted because you weren't working a full-time job and raising a child.
I was going to say, yeah, I used to work several jobs, but...
Right.
The child portion, yeah.
Right, yes.
And I'm older.
Yes, yes. All of that.
So in this case, it's fun. Like, I'm having a good time. We're losing a lot. But, it's like I feel like I do feel like I'm getting better. I'm unlocking my class as I'm more used to. And then I've also met newer squad mates like Omni, like SciTech, that are on the team. And we're also, I think, improving together and I think learning our methods and really learning the game and the maps. At the same time, I also have several broquettes, like the Lazy Gaming guys, who can join us on PlayStation Chat, even though they don't have Black Ops, that they can also talk with us.
That's awesome.
As we're playing the game. So it's one of those things that's like, we didn't have this back in the PlayStation 3.
Back in my day.
Right. So it's like, this is a really neat thing, and I can broadcast it, and I can play. So I'm having fun in that aspect of just stepping back and seeing what is actually happening, what I'm actually doing.
It was kind of a flashback for me because granted it was only 5 minutes before Leo started crying, but I actually sat next to you and watched you play. And it was like back in the days when we were, just starting to go out and you were sitting here playing with your friends, and I used to just hang out and watch you play. And so that was fun for me, is to just kind of take that trip down memory lane and be like, oh, look how far we've come. And then Leo cried and I was like, I'm done. I'm out. You enjoy. And I went to bed and your ass was up till whenever.
To cap this off, if you want to play Black Ops 4 with us, my PSN name is Reasons I'm Broke. And that even if you don't have Black Ops 4, but you have a PS4 and you just want to be in chat with us, again, PSN name, send me a request, Reasons I'm Broke, and we'll have you on the stream as well. So with the Brocat block out of the way, let's head into our thank yous for the Patreon shoutouts of the week.
This week we have 5 shoutouts. The first one goes out to Kyle, whose Twitter handle is @KyleInge.
He posted up some great food porn on Instagram. Potato curry with basmati rice. My fucking mouth was watering when I saw that image. Oh my God.
I love food porn, but not curry.
That's true. You don't like curry.
You can learn how to cook that shit yourself.
The only way to do curry right, though, is if it's spicy. If it's not spicy, don't even bother. But this looked like such a good dish. And it was, I think he said it was vegan.
Yeah.
So usually with curry it is.
Maybe I'll learn to cook it for you. Speaking of vegan things, though, I tried jackfruit for the first time this week.
What is jackfruit, really?
It's a giant ass fruit that where the inside is a very meaty texture. So if you notice, it almost look like regular meat, right? And then you can season it with whatever, similar to tofu, but it's a big old fruit.
I was going to say, so it's not Dumbledore.
No,
He's not a giant fruit.
It was delicious.
Next thank you goes out to Robin on Instagram @RobinConcepts.
Robin put up a concept art of some sci-fi suit designs for a female character.
He even gave followers a chance at voting at their favorite pose and suits. Right. So that was really neat. Like, and, he's becoming more interactive with a lot of the designs and artwork that he is putting up on there. So if you do enjoy digital artwork concept designs, please follow Robin on Instagram @RobinConcepts.
Our next shout out goes out to Matt, who on Twitter is @Mr. Forklift.
He shared a link from the Smithsonian revealing that continued climate change will affect chocolate, beer, and coffee. However you may feel on climate change, if this were to occur or does occur, less chocolate, less beer, more importantly for you, less coffee. Higher temperatures equals less yield, theoretically.
We need to make a change today. Everybody buy some Teslas.
Is this not how you unite men and women?
Yes, coffee and chocolate.
And beer, no!
And coffee and chocolate.
I wonder if it affects pure alcohol. Maybe not. I don't know how alcohol is actually produced, But beer's a pretty big thing.
Pure
like hard
alcohol
liquor.
is made out of a lot of things, like potatoes and
That's true. So that would affect
corn. I think tequila's corn. So, no, tequila's agave.
Right. So that would be I mean, high temperature does do all right, and tequila for everyone in the future.
Which would be great. I feel like coffee grows in hot climates too, though. You got Cuban coffee,
but it was a Smithsonian.
Arabica.
But much higher temperatures.
I guess
it's a Smithsonian, so immediately I give it credibility.
We need to stop. I really believe, and I'm not getting on another soapbox, I'm sorry, but in the next few years we will really see a lot of changes towards the environment and protecting and stopping global warming and all that kind of stuff.
I think we're seeing that already. Like whether or not you do accept whatever changes may or may not happen, it's like, well, we should still be more conscious of the earth regardless.
My next car will be a hybrid. Just throwing that out there. I'm excited. I've already got it picked out.
With my current one, it does save me on gas. I've noticed. I'm like, I'm not filling up as often, which is really nice. But I always have it on economical with the little green leaf, so I'm fine. I'm not racing. I'm not doing I already drive like a grandpa anyway, so it was perfect for me.
Our next shout out goes out to Jared, whose Twitter handle is @SpoonSandwich.
He tweeted out, quote, "Why can't Black Ops 4 be cross-buy so I didn't have to decide between Xbox and PC," end quote.
I can decide for you, PS4.
He should play on PS4 with us. He should, but maybe he doesn't have one. I did have some of the broquettes like Bobby and Al say, get an Xbox and play with us on the Xbox side for Black Ops 4.
No.
Well, my crew is already on the PS4,
right.
and I was already spending about $120 just to play this again.
Ooh.
A year of PlayStation Plus and the game. The standard game on top of that. I didn't even get the season pass or any of that.
Wait. Our final shout out goes out to Scott, whose Twitter handle is @LazyGamingGuys.
He shared an image of an All Might bird on our Discord channel with the following: "It's fine now. Why? Because I am here." I love it. Fucking even you saw it. It took you a minute.
It did take me a minute. Well, I'm not watching the show, so that's why. Every time I see a bird, though, I think of Stephen Colbert when he was running for whatever.
I am America.
Love that.
So I do like that the voice actor Chris Sabat is still not enough to get you to watch My Heroic Academics.
He's still not Vegeta.
At some points, though,
Sometimes
notice like
he sounds like Vegeta. Then I'm like, oh, and I look over and it's that ugly ass All Might. And I'm like, oh.
Leave All Might alone.
He's not attractive. He's creepy with his weirdo hair.
He's a hero. He's not supposed to be attractive.
Okay. Heroes aren't
He's
supposed to be attractive.
inspire hope.
Vegeta saves people all the time, and he's still attractive.
He's not a hero.
He saves people.
He's. Would you call him a hero, though?
No, I really wouldn't.
All right, then.
But at least he's attractive.
Thank you so much again to Scott, Jared, Matt, Robin, and Kyle for your shout-outs this week. Thank you so much for your Patreon support. Another thank you to Decal Avenue as well, Jose, for the help at the $5 tier.
If you too would like your shout out every single week, if you would like to help support my coffee addiction for as little as $1 a month, most coffee costs $3, just throw that out there. You too can be a Patreon backer. Go to patreon.com/thereansI'mbroke.
That's right. Buy Kelli a coffee with $3 a month. That's one cup of coffee for...
That is there's 30. That is 1/31th of the number of coffees that I purchase in the month.
Or for $5 a month, you can get a small Starbucks coffee. So that gets you through the day.
Very small Starbucks. I think grandes are like $4.86 or something. That's sad that I know that.
But normally you get the shots anyway of espresso.
Oh, from Wawa. When I go to Starbucks, I go all in.
Well, what Patreon is that then? If you get like the shot of Wawa.
Well, recently I've been getting 2 shots, so that's still $4.
Well, there you go. $4 a month. You can help out Kelli with her fuel for the day.
But of course, the best thing you can do is leave us a review. Leave it through Apple Podcasts. That helps other people find us, or whatever podcatcher that you use. Tell your friends what you think about our show. Spread the word about the awesome palpiness.
I like that. But with that out of the way, let's head into our comic book highlight of the week.
This week we have Justice League number 10. This is written by Scott Snyder with art by Francis Manipool.
I know @InSmouth_Tide did chastise a little bit the show for not having a comic book highlight last week.
Sorry.
We got one this week.
Here
We
it
got the
is.
beginning of Drowned Earth.
Yes.
With this awesome foil, Justice League number 10. It's one of my favorite ones because of
really
the use
cool.
of gold.
Yeah.
If you see that on the titling and on the like water drops.
And then some is gold and some is like orange gold.
I think that was one of the things that maybe...
Even the
if they
back is foiled.
yeah, all of it is.
Ah!
That's one of the neat things that they... And I think it might be a limit to how they went with the foils is this particular bit with its texture, maybe they couldn't use as many colors. And that's why they all have that type of theme. And they look good.
They do. They look really good.
I'm really happy with how they... And a lot of customers as well, as they pull it up, they're like, these turned out really nice. It's not selling like Dark Knight's Metal, but everyone seems to be really happy with the covers. And even the back with DC villains.
Right.
So maybe you can use multiple colors because look at that. So it looks like it was a choice by the company to go with the more minimalistic
I think it looks better that way. So...
But let's look at the story itself. Even the interiors look as gorgeous as the cover. Francis Maniple, superstar fucking artist. And this is a gorgeous fucking book. All of this is straight out of Justice League No Justice. If you read that miniseries, he had the same costume designs, the artwork for that full 4 issues. And it looks like he's back on Justice League for this prelude to Drowned Earth, which is about what looks to be ancient type of, not Atlanteans, but I guess aliens or underwater.
It's the guardians of the underwater in different worlds, different universes.
Yeah, with it being Scott Snyder, he's getting really cosmic
Of course.
with all of this. So if you have been liking Justice League these last 9 issues, the number 10 is right up your alley too. It's all about it's like, okay, we've defended against these invaders in the past, and when you first see them, obviously it's a comic, and Arthur says, oh, so you guys are the ones who helped out the Atlanteans and my people. They're like, no, we're the invaders. So it's like, here we go.
Oh, shit. My favorite part of this book, and I don't know. Again, this doesn't really capture my attention like some of the other things that we've read, but I think I'm still on a Bruce Selina kick, and I'm just like, oh, give me more romance. But my favorite part of this was like Batman's calling out all this stuff, and then we flip to him, and like his arms and legs are broken, but he's still doing shit, like with his little fingers, like tick, 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 tick.
I like that his body cast is still like cool looking too.
Yeah, hell
like, it's
yeah,
like all
it's gotta
Batman.
be.
I love that.
I mean, would you rather see like "Get well soon, love the Flash" like written on his arms? No.
Hell no. He probably did his own, if not Alfred.
I'm sure.
Did his own suit. So in this case, they were smart in how they went about the invasion of Earth and drowning it, which we were speculating before. It's like, are they going to drown the Earth and kill them? It's like, no, it's more of an invasion. So whenever they touch this particular cosmic water or whatever it is, this cosmic kraken. So this is almost pirate-like.
Almost.
The people are turned into these aliens as well. So it was almost like a aqua zombie type of story in a way. And it's a smart way of them going, okay, well, this is how we don't eliminate half the population or more with the story. It's like, okay, by the end, they'll all be returned to normal, and we know. But what we enjoy about these arcs is that seeing how they get it done, how they fix it, what kind of obstacles they'll run into.
It was a great start, like you said, the beginning of this arc. So if you haven't been reading up to this point and you want to jump on, this is Justice League number 10, and you can start right here and continue with the story. And
they do have a page in here kind of outlining the full Drowned Earth arc or the full story. So this month, you've got Justice League number 10, which kicked it off as a prelude. Aquaman 41 is a tie-in, so it's not necessary reading, unlike Justice League Dark and the Wonder Woman Witching Hour, in which you did have to get both series. In this case, each part is going to be in Justice League, except for 2 one-shots, which are going to be part 1, which is Justice League / Aquaman Drowned Earth, again, a one-shot, and then flipping out over to Aquaman Justice League Drowned Earth, which is the final part, which is another one-shot. So what DC has been doing in Rebirth with these particular arcs, or they're not really events, but what they're doing is it's like, here's a one-shot that tells you everything, and then you read Justice League, and now another one-shot that finishes everything. I'm not sure why they're doing it that way. I think it's just to kind of bookend the full story. And it is a little bit weird because as a retailer, you have to sort of order for all the Justice League readers. It was way more difficult with Wonder Woman and Justice League Dark because it did cross over into both series, and a lot of those readers are not reading Wonder Woman and Justice League Dark. So it's like, do you take the risk of, okay, do we order enough to cross pull for both Wonder Woman and Justice League Dark, which is a lot of one-shots, especially that they're, $4.99 or whatever. Or do you just say, okay, let's just get some for the stands and people that are interested can pick it up. So you kind of take that risk. But in Justice League, it's a little bit lower because it does not force the crossover with Aquaman, which is like, if you're going to do that, great.
Right.
I'll just order for Justice League. They're more prone to get it because it is Justice League, and you're already going to sell hundreds of copies anyway because many people are subbed onto Scott Snyder's story.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I don't really feel that this story is for me, but that doesn't mean that I think that it's bad. It's definitely not Dark Knight's metal in my eyes. I think it sets up a great story, but, I recommend it to anybody who enjoys Justice League. I don't think I'm going to read it.
What about Jarro?
I mean, Jarro was pretty cute.
Little Jarro.
He was cute, but...
Starro in a jar.
I have so little
He's
time.
Back.
So little time to read books. I have to be very selective. Batman and Catwoman get all my attention right now. I don't care about these other people.
There you go. I on my thoughts are very similar. I think if you've liked 1 through 9 so far, as I said earlier, this continues it. It starts off a new type of new characters are introduced in this too, which is really neat. And the artwork alone by Manapul is worth Justice League number 10. We'll see if he stays on for the rest of the arc, and if he does, we'll at least know that the rest is a gorgeous looking book. But if you are following this, if you are subscribed, be sure to tell your local comic shop to get those one-shots, the Drowned Earth one-shots, Aquaman/Justice League, Justice League/Aquaman, as soon as possible. So that'll do it for the show this week, Brokettes. I had a good amount of type of reviews on the TV show with DC Universe and on the comic book side as well.
Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Reach out to us on Facebook, reach out to us on Twitter at Reasons I'm Broke, out Papa Kelly. Let us know what's going on in your week. Let us know what you thought of the show. As always, guys, all will be well. We'll see you next week.